Hello and welcome to clipping in the 2,000 mile 10-month update on the Cannondale SuperSix Evo 4. This is a bike that I bought in late July 2024. I posted a 500 mile impressions video in September and people are still watching that video, leaving comments, asking questions, so I thought when the opportunity arises I'd post a follow-up. So here we are, 10 months, 2,000 miles, the SuperSix Evo 4. Yeah, so the first video, which I posted I think towards the end of September, was like a 500 mile impressions video. Given that that one ran to about 16 or 17 minutes and went into some detail about the spec of the bike and so on, I'm not going to restate all that stuff here. What I'll do, if you didn't see the first video and you're interested, I'll put a clickable link up there. I'll also include a link in the description notes of this video, and I'll put one in comments and pin it, so you're well served for finding that video. It's got a 12-speed 105 mechanical group set with the 105 hydraulic disc brakes, and I suppose given that I made a few changes to the bike when I first got it, given the wheels, the tyres, etc., have I done anything else to it in that gap of 500 miles to 2,000 miles? Well, I hinted at it in the first video, but finally I stopped delaying. I changed the saddle. What a transformation. I went from the Prologo that it was supplied with to a Cella Italia Flight, my favourite saddle in the old days, and complete transformation. The Prologo, I think in the old days at mile 1 I'd have put my favourite saddle on there, but with this being an off-the-peg bike supplied with a Prologo saddle which I'd never had before, I thought I'd give it a few hundred miles, and I think I stuck it out until about 900 miles. But it was obvious that on rides really about 3.5 hours plus, I was starting to feel numb, and it just, you know, it coloured my impression of the bike. I started to think of the bike as being something, rides up to 4 hours where you're maybe putting your head down a little and you're pressing on the pedals a little harder. But I didn't think of it as a longer distance cruising bike. So eventually I gave in and I got a Flight out of my stock box, one from 2007 with the gel padding and the titanium rails. I fitted that. First ride, I think I went over home, moss and so on. What a change. I knew straight away, now I've got the saddle that suits me. Longer, a little bit wider on the sit bones. What a difference it makes. And then I bought what they call a Cella Italia 1990 reissue Flight. I picked one of those up in black because, well, I mean, we're using a yellow saddle on an orange bike. My goodness me, I'm not that flamboyant. So I changed to a black one. Perfect. Since then I've done rides of 5.5 hours, 6.25 hours. Perfect. No numbness, no discomfort at all. So now I'd be quite happy on this bike to go out, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever time's available. It's transformed it, and it's changed my opinion of how comfortable this bike is. I think there's a lesson there that no matter how good a reputation, how good a specification a component has, particularly when we're talking of contact points, no matter how well regarded it is by other people, if it doesn't suit you, it's not for you, and you shouldn't persevere with it, and you should track down what works for you. There's a lesson there, definitely. What else have I done? In terms of maintenance or repairs, or has anything needed changing, the only thing that I've changed, the only thing has been the disc brake pads. I think it was about 1,400 miles. The front pads were getting pretty worn, so I changed them. And while I was at it, I changed the back ones as well. And then I could do a little bedding in ride and then forget about them. And, they're running sweetly, they're running quietly. And that's the main thing. I find with, you hear riders on, hydraulic disc brakes, and they've got that angry donkey sound. And it's for me, such an irritating sound that I wouldn't want to brake. When that noise starts, you just don't touch the brakes, and that's really not the point of having brakes. But using the appropriate Shimano soft resin pads, they've been wonderful. They've been great in all kinds of conditions, on wet days, on dry days. No noise, no discomfort, no juddering. They've just been very, very smooth after a bedding in ride. I can't fault that. Ideally, I mean, something like rim brakes, you'd get 4, 5, 6,000 miles out of a set of brake shoes. But, you know, I just look upon it as a running cost. They're not prohibitively expensive, and it keeps things running sweet and running quietly. Wonderful. A question on the older video that seems to be recurring is people seem to think that using the way that Cannondale route the gear cables, they bring them from the levers, under the handlebars, under the stem, and down through the steerer, and then bring them down into the down tube area. And people have been asking this question that, you know, how crisp is the indexing? Can you get accurate gear shifts across the block? And after how many miles does the shifting accuracy fall apart? Well, as I answered at the time, after 500 miles, the shifting was as crisp as I've ever known on any system. And now, after 2,000 miles and 10 months since the bike was built, they're still as crisp as new. The only thing I've done is a little, maybe a quarter turn of the barrel adjuster about 800 miles, just to cope with a little bit of cable stretch. But still, it's accurate right across the block. So, you know, maybe there's a weakness. Maybe at some point in time I'm going to curse this cable routing through the steerer. But so far, I can't say that. They've been marvellous, faultless so far. But have I learned anything else? Again, I hinted at it in the first video, but I've had confirmation, if you like, since that it is more sensitive to crosswinds when you're on high exposed roads, such as I encounter in the Pennines, Home Moss, places like that. When you're getting really strong crosswinds, that aerodynamic frame, the aerodynamic forks, you catch more crosswind than you would on a round tube bike with narrower forks. We know that. We enjoy the speed benefits of aerodynamics, of course, but you know, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and therefore it means that you've just got to be a little bit more alert on very windy days. I dare say, I mean, I'm only running them with Mavic Cerium S25 rims. I dare say if you're someone who wants to run 50mm rims all year round under all conditions, you'll have to be exceptionally aware of that on crosswind days, because the combination of deeper rims and this aerodynamically shaped frame and forks, you will have to hold on to the bars and think about what you're doing. But as we say, no such thing as a free lunch. So how to sum things up? Really, you know, it's a bit of a repeat of the previous conclusions. I can't really find fault with anything. I think now that I've solved the saddle problem, I've got a bike that's comfortable for, you know, longer distances. It handles well at speed. It's comfortable. And, you know, it's responsive enough for the kind of riding that I'm doing, at least, and the kind of rider that I am nowadays. So I can't fault it. I can't really talk about value for money, because I mentioned in the first video that the RRP of this model is £3,000, but, you know, I didn't pay that. I think I picked it up for effectively £2,000 at the end of July last year. And therefore, that colours your impressions and opinions of value for money. At £2,000, and then let's say I spent about another 200 on tyres of choice, 30mm GP5000s, some latex tubes. I bought another cassette. I bought an 1134. I already had the Cerium S25, you know, in my stock room. So I don't count that as a cost. So essentially, for an outlay of about 2,200, I think I've got a superb bike. And I've got the stock wheels as spares and the stock tyres as spares. And I've even got that 1136 stock cassette for special occasions. So at that price, yeah, I think it's a very, very respectable bike, and it's a really good all-rounder. And like I say, if there are any problems, or at some point, periodically, maybe when it's done 4,000 miles or 5,000 miles, I'll do another little short sequel to this video in time. But so far, so good. That's the bike stuff out of the way. Hopefully, I will see you all soon back out on the Yorkshire roads for some actual pedalling. Yes.